Hello. Hello, everybody. It's Carl Rodriguez from Joining the Dots, the Startups Network. And today I'm going to be talking data with an old friend of mine, actually, and Joining the Dots member, Matt Sharp. Matt, welcome. How are you today?
I'm very well. Hi, Carl. Nice to see you. Very good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, I mean, we just got a short bit of time to cover data. And I think, I'm very aware that businesses are always saying they want to become more data savvy, and they're
Yep.
thinking about either implementing or creating a data strategy. How can they get more out of data? And I know we've known each other over the years. You've been working in the past at We Are Silver Bullet, who specialize in understanding how to help businesses make more from their data, but also you're a consultant in your own right now, working with various different great names who think about their customers and how to make more of data.
Sure.
So I just want to quickly pick your brains really on your thoughts around, how to put together a good data strategy or unlock data value.
Yeah, sure. So I think, as with anyone listening, the data strategies have existed for as long as data has been pertinent to a business. If you asked me a question maybe 6 or 7 years ago, what was important to business was actually getting that data. But today we're in abundance. We give data to the brands that we trust every second of every day. But it's how to unlock that and how that is actually utilized with the brands that fundamentally builds a strategy. So it's very simple. So mainly it's all about customer experience, operations, and also understanding what's going to be best use of the data for the company going forward.
Yeah, and any thoughts on, how when you've got a data strategy like that, how to ensure success?
Exactly that. So everyone's going to aspire to be a brand that they want their business to grow into, whether that's to be an Amazon, or if you're in the retail space, to be an Asos, or even some of the bigger banks are looking at, there's disruptor banks like Starling and looking at what they're doing and how they're using data to really give the customer a better experience. So fundamentally, it's all about unlocking that data, making it fit for purpose, and then getting that into technology they have today that is used to communicate with us as consumers on a day-to-day basis and make it relevant. So, I hate getting an email that is about something that I've already bought, or hate getting an email about something that is completely irrelevant to me because they don't understand me as a customer. Whether I've spent £1,000 or £10, there's no excuse in this day and age not to have the right understanding in those type of use cases.
What are the kind of mistakes that you've seen? I mean, you've worked with a lot of businesses. You don't have to name them at this point, but what are the kind of things that you think mistakes that they make as they go through the process?
Absolutely. So the biggest mistake is really, I call it the Tarantino. They always start with what they want to achieve at the end, which not necessarily is conducive to a good strategy. So they always say, right, we're going to have 20% increase this, 10% increase that, yada, yada, yada. And it's wrong, because by the time they go back to understanding what they need to do, and whether that's people on board within the business, the technology they have, or the current politics of the way they do things, it takes time. And you need to choose the use cases and the strategies. So where I've seen a real sort of understanding of, oh yes, we need to make sure that our email strategy is better than it ever could. And I said, well, actually, your email strategy is actually pretty good, but wasting time on how you message individuals, it's not really relevant to maybe how I can stop sending ads to Carl or stop sending ads to Matt and save myself a few quid to put back into the ecosystem to invest in other areas. So when I was doing some work with Waitrose had a pretty big problem. So not sure if you or people on the call will understand that they lost the Ocado contracts to Marks and Spencer. So they were up against it to try and understand who was shopping at Waitrose for Waitrose and who was shopping at Ocado for Ocado. So very simply, it came back to data. So who went into all of their shopping and who went into the Waitrose store, as well as went on to Ocado to order the shopping. So we did that piece of work. It took about 6 to 8 months. A lot of companies out there are still trying to do that. And all that was understanding where the data came from. So different data points, so the Waitrose Club card, click point data coming from the website, the apps data from people using the Ocado app, and merging that all together to understand who the customer was. So very, very quickly, we had an understanding of what that looked like. Now you have to start to do something with those insights. Waitrose invested into the Google Cloud. So we sent all of that to Google Cloud. There's something within Google Cloud called BigQuery, and BigQuery spits out the insights that were sent to the relevant technology channels. And for that use case, so I mentioned it earlier in the call, was that they wanted to make sure they were sending the right adverts to the right people, or not at all. So there's something in Google DV360, which is paid search and Google Ads, and they saved themselves 70% of their investment just using those insights. And that was a win for those guys. So it wasn't all about the relevancy of the emails or relevancy of customer experience. It's all about being relevant in those channels to prove that point, because it was a very fast win use case. And soon after that, they invested more money and more skill set and more people into leveraging Google for other parts of the Waitrose ecosystem, which was fantastic. So it was a result for everybody. And it was a really, really good team. But it just showed that you can do something very, very quickly without having to build it from the ground up and spending years and years and probably failing a couple of times before you got it right.
Yeah, that really makes me think about, I've seen this many times where people get some sort of bingo moment where there is something, a small piece of insight that can actually have a really big impact. And I'm curious about when you said earlier on, I mean, I'm trying to understand your Tarantino reference there, but when you, so you wanted to get X amount back, you sometimes can't predict what you're going to find when you do the data analysis and data insights. I'm wondering about, how do you get the balance between finding these gems, but also setting a strategy which has some sort of level of clarity over moving forward?
Yeah, great question. So the strategies will remain quite robust, but it's the agile way of working. So you need to be able to pivot quite quickly. Or if, for instance, you have your data scientists that have created a lovely model in their Zeppelin notebooks, and they want to put that into the mix because they think they can have a better way of predicting what somebody's going to do as a customer. And that's attractive to the marketer within the business because they want to look good and they want to have increase in the click-through or increase in the relevancy of their content. They will actually go back and say, right, let's get it into production. That will be put into that technology, but it may fail. So you may see it kick up and have a spike, but then certain things will come into affect it. Maybe it's products, maybe it's the weather, maybe it's the model itself is actually drifting. So again, if you have the right alerts and the team to go in there and see that happening, you can change those strategies pretty quickly and get some really good wins. But you are going to understand how to identify the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And one last thing before we wrap up, I mean, if there was one extra piece of advice that you've got for anyone out there who's thinking about how to get more value from data, or how they can make sure their data strategy is successful, what comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's ask questions within your business, but then have an opportunity and open mind to take those questions outside of your business, because it all may seem well and good for what you've done, and you may be proud and you are getting some effective results, which is great. I salute you. However, you will not know what you don't know until you ask those questions outside of your business. And there are so many different forums, and we're more than happy to help you here. I'm more than happy to have those discussions to where you can learn more and hear more about other stories that have been successful and not. So there are some people out there that I've worked with that have tried this in different ways, and their strategies have not been successful, but they've listened and they've changed, and the outcomes have been positive. So that would be my last closing remarks. Ask questions internally, but also take those outside of your business.
Nice one, Matt. Well, it's been really useful, I think, to compress a lot of experience and knowledge that you've got. And thanks for the case study as well. I thought that was really useful into a nice short interview. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, I'm assuming we can probably put your contact details in the
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know you're forging forward with a number of initiatives around helping people with their data. So certainly,
absolutely,
we can, get them to pick your brains a bit more. But thanks again, and
for sure.
Look out for the next video, everybody, with more
Thanks,
analysis.
Thanks, Carl.
Take care.